In this video, I get injured surfing a lift. Yeah, well, when you think of all of the risks involved in lift surfing and how do I get caught out? I touch a sharp object and cut my finger. Yeah, well, when you think of all of the safety things involved in lift surfing and all of the risks that you have to manage, and I get caught out by just touching a sharp object, it's actually kind of funny, really. But anyway, if any of you are thinking of surfing Arona, just be aware there's a really sharp edge on the doors, and I cut my finger on it, it bled a little bit, although it's nothing major, and I kind of left a little bit of blood on the car top controls. I wonder if the next lift engineer that goes on top of his lift will notice that. Well, anyway, let's get on with the video. In this video, I take a detailed look at an Arona. Aronas are really awesome. They're actually quite a cheap lift, but they just look great. I mean, why can't other lifts look like this? Even some more expensive models of lift, cough, Otis Gen 2, don't even really look as good as this. This is this really nice looking lift, and I've been wanting to surf one of these for ages. Problem is, like quite a few MRLs, there is no light on top of the lift. So then, this is a 1 meter a second Orona MRL. This lift doesn't open its doors until it's fully stopped, which is disappointing. But if you look at lift industry, pretty much most lifts are like that nowadays, which is quite disappointing. But other than that, Aronas do actually run really well, actually, despite the fact they're quite cheap. Let's start this video off by getting a feel for this lift by taking a ride in it. Now, it's lift surfing time. So then, open up this lift, and sadly, this lift does not have a voice, which means you don't get to hear the message. There is a fault. Press the alarm button. That message is just so funny. Sadly, we don't get to hear it because there's no voice. So then, going on top of this lift, and there is a switch in the side of the lift shaft for shaft lights. Yes! It is lift surfing time. So then, here I am on top of a lift, and now let's just put this into context for a moment. Arona is a cheap make-off lift, and surprisingly, I'm actually pretty impressed, because quite a few lifts I've been on top of, again, such as Otis Gen 2, I've actually been pretty impressed with. They look quite flimsy, quite crappy really, but surprisingly, Arona's actually exceed my expectations. Although one thing, these lifts do not have a chassis, which does annoy me. These lifts, like with quite a lot of MRLs, the actual metalwork of the car itself is the structural support of the lift, rather than having metal beam around it. So I think that is disappointing, but to be honest, an awful lot of lifts are like this nowadays. Even big professional lift companies such as Otis and Schindler don't put chassis on their lifts a lot nowadays, which is quite disgusting. So then, let's now surf this lift, and the best thing about surfing this lift is, it's actually really fun, because this lift goes 2/3 of a meter a second using a car top controls. Now that's like an old single speed lift with only one speed. I mean, on most variable frequency lifts, the car top controls go 1/3 of a meter a second. On 2-speed lifts, it goes at leveling speed, which is even slower than this. But this lift, 2/3 of a meter a second. Although this is not quite full speed, it's still really fun. Let's surf it. Now, here I am right at the top of the lift shaft, and just look at this motor. Big! big motor. I was not expecting it. If you compare this to the Otis Gen 2 motor, which is like a pathetic little flimsy thing, this is one bloody good motor for a little cheap Arona, and it's got a motor like this. I mean, Arona really have gone up in my opinion. I mean, this motor is really solid. And another thing is, when you actually stop the lift from the car controls, it doesn't judder to a stop like a Otis Gen 2. And again, when you brake safety and the lift's moving, it doesn't like judder to a stop. It actually stops quite well, really. I mean, these lifts are actually really well designed. The logic's well designed. The lift's well designed. Although I know some engineers actually hate Aronas because if they're used too much, often they overheat. But as long as you don't overuse it, this is actually a really nice lift.